Hello students, welcome to the ongoing lecture series on international business. I am Professor Soma Sengupta, Kamla Nehru College, University of Delhi. So the first part of the lecture is Modes of Entry Part 2. Here we will discuss in detail the contractual agreements. So before we proceed with that, I'll give you a backdrop of the topic, that is modes of entry, and what we have discussed in part 1. We have discussed the different modes of entry, and what is the modes of entry? It is the companies can enter foreign markets through various modes, ranging from low risk options like exporting to higher risk, high control strategies like foreign direct investment. These modes of entry include exporting, licensing, franchising, joint ventures and wholly owned subsidiaries. We have discussed a few of them in the first part of the lecture. The choice of entry mode depends on factors like level of risk involved, resources available and desired level of control over operations in the foreign market. These modes of entry may be subdivided into non-equity mode and equity mode or investment related mode. In non-equity mode, we have discussed till now the trade related mode, which includes the following, that is exporting, direct as well as indirect exporting, and counter trade, that is barter, counter purchase, offset and buyback. So these are the first trade related modes. Now another part is contractual agreements, and this is again a non-equity mode and includes international leasing, international licensing, international franchising and turnkey projects. So we will discuss each one of them one by one. First, the contractual agreements. What are they? They are also known as transfer related entry mode. They are associated with transfer of ownership or utilization of a specified property, technology or asset. So this is a contract between two parties and they decide on using the property of one party and the other party will pay a royalty or a fee, and that is a contractual agreement. The transfer takes place from one party to the other. So this is the first characteristics. Transfer is done in exchange for a royalty fee. So one party is transferring technology or machinery and the other party is giving a royalty fee. This is used in technology related or intellectual or industrial property rights. Now we have, as we have discussed in the first para, that it includes leasing, licensing, franchising and turnkey projects, but all at international level. You must have studied leasing, licensing and franchising in a domestic market, but here we will discuss it in the international market. So first is international leasing. You must be aware of the leasing agreements that happens in your own country. But here we are talking about international leasing, whereby a foreign firm, which can be called as a leaser, leases out its new or used machines or equipments to the local company, the leasee, usually placed in a developing country. So the leaser, generally a foreign firm in a developed country, and the leasee is in a developing country who is taking this equipment or technology. The leasee do not have financial capability to buy the machines or equipment. So if he wishes to buy that machines, there is a huge financial outlay and that is possibly beyond the capability of the leasee who may be in a developing or an underdeveloped country. So the leasee actually enters into an agreement with the leaser and gets the machinery or technology from the leaser for a fee. So this is called leasee fee or royalty. For example, in 1970s, Japan's Mitsubishi leased 100 new and used heavy trucks to Chinese companies. Now there are certain advantages of international leasing to the leaser as well as to the leasee. So we will discuss each one of them. For the foreign firm or the leaser, the advantages are quick access to the target market. So, if they want to capture the leasee's home market, then the leaser can enter that market by just transferring the technology or the equipment. Efficient use of superfluous or outmoded machinery or equipment. So, it might be possible in the developed country or the leaser's country, the facilities are underutilized, or the machinery is outmodeled, or the equipment is old, and they do not have a market in that particular country, but there is a market in other countries. So, they lease it out to the leasee in other countries. Accumulating experience in a foreign country, in this way they can accumulate experience also in the foreign country. For the local firm or the leasee, again it is advantageous for him to enter into this type of arrangement, because it reduces the cost of using foreign machine and equipment. So, you have the benefit of using these machines, but you do not have to buy them, you are in a way renting it out or getting it for a lease agreement. So, it reduces the operational and investment risks also. So, they are not investing a huge amount of money in buying the equipment. If anything goes wrong with the equipment, it is the headache of the leaser and not of the leasee. Also, it increases its knowledge and experience with foreign technologies and facilities. So, they have the advantage of using a facility or a technology which is available only in a developed country, but they are using it in their own country now. Lowers the risk of owning assets like value decreases, outmoded technology, etc., that we have discussed, that ultimately the risk of this type of obsolescence of the technology or value decreases falls on the leaser and not on the leasee. Now, there are certain disadvantages of international leasing. The first one is cost concern. Now, leasing in the long run, it proves to be an expensive proposition than purchasing. Although you will think that you are not buying the equipment, so there are less cost is involved. But here continuously you will be paying royalty fee and you are not getting the product also in your own name or the technology in your own name. So, leases do not acquire ownership or stock in the asset, rather they only pay to use it for a short term, and at the end of the lease agreement, again the asset will go back to the leaser and nothing will remain with the leasee. Then another is lack of ownership. Leases will not own the asset at the end of the lease. So, the first point is substantiated by this second point. So, nor will they receive any financial benefit from its worth. So, agreement comes to an end, the technology or the equipment will go back to the leaser and the leasee will not have any access to that technology. Hidden fees in lease agreements. These includes upkeep and maintenance payment, insurance to guard against damage, early termination penalties and like that. So, there are certain hidden fees beside the royalty fee which the leasee has to bear. Payment obligations. The leasees are required to make monthly payments over the lease term, regardless of whether the leased item is underutilized or it performs poorly or the company is facing a cash flow problem. Whatever is the reason, even if they are underutilizing the equipment or they do not have the substantial sales in the market, still they have to keep on paying the royalty fee to the leaser. So, that is a payment obligation on the part of leasee. Then another is limited adaptability to changing operational requirements. So, there are usually several restrictions for usage of equipment, mileage limits for automobiles which are commonly included in the lease agreement, and because of that the flexibility is not there for the leasee to use it in a different manner, the product or equipment in a different manner suitable for the conditions in their country. Then leasee's risk of depreciation. Though leaser is in charge of the assets depreciation, the leasees may still incur losses. So, directly if we see, it is the headache of leaser that the product is or the equipment is getting depreciated. But if you look deeper, you will find that leasee's expectations on using the asset and receiving a return on investment may be lowered over a period of time because of the wear and tear of the machinery. Then return of leased asset. Barring wear and tear, leases are required to return leased assets in good condition. So, if anything goes wrong with the asset or the equipment, then they have to pay a penalty. So, penalties or additional costs could result from returning the object outside the required condition. So, that fear is again there for the leasee. Then restricted control of leasee. Leaser retains ownership and decision making authority over leased assets. So, it restricts the power of the leasee and makes it difficult for the leasee to modify the asset to suit their requirements. Then the second method or contractual agreement is international licensing. Now, in international licensing, a firm, here he is called licensor, transfers its intangible property to its own unit or to another firm called licensee for a specified period of time in exchange for a royalty fee. So, there are certain intangible property and the licensor is allowing the licensee to use that intangible property for a certain period of time, and the consideration is in the form of royalty fee. Now, what are these intangible property? These intangible property may be any expertise which is possessed by the licensor, know-how, blueprints, technology, manufacturing design. So, it can be any one of them or a combination of these intangible property. Then licensing allows the licensee to produce and market a product similar to the one the licensor has already been producing in its home country without requiring the licensor to actually create a new operation abroad. So, the same technology can be used in, or even the brand name and all can be used in another country. Generally other intangible properties like the know-how, technical know-how and all, you can use it in your home country and you have to pay a license fee. Then there are certain advantages of international licensing. Licensor can go for expansion abroad and exploit innovative technology without any additional investment. So, this advantage will be there. The licensor can go international, but without much of investment, just giving the right to use that intangible property to the licensee and get a fee also. Licensee upgrades his technical capability and his competitiveness in the global market. So, this is the advantage for the licensee. So, he can upgrade his technical capability and then he venture into other parts of the world beside his home country. Now, another advantage is not liable for any losses. Since no or very little foreign investment is involved, the licensor is not liable for any losses incurred by the foreign business. The licensee pays the licensor fees that are fixed in advance. So, even if the technology fails or the whatever know-how is there, it fails in the other country where the licensee is there, still the burden will not fall on the licensor because he will get a regular license fees. Less expensive method, the licensor establishes and invests in the business unit a very limited amount of money. The licensor makes almost no investment. It is less expensive method for entering into an international business. Lesser risk, maximum loss is restricted to the loss of technical fee. There are lesser risks of business takeovers or government interference because the licensee is a local person. So, licensee knows the local ways of doing things, he will keep on paying the technical fee, but if his venture fails, he will stop paying the fee probably, and that much is the risk for the licensor, not beyond that. Then greater market knowledge and contacts, because the licensee is a local person. So, the licensee or the franchisee has a better understanding of the market as well as more contacts. So, that benefit will accrue to the licensor. He can enter into foreign market through these licensee and also gain access to that market. Then legal safety. Only the parties to the agreement are legally permitted to use the copyrights, patents and brand names in the foreign countries as per the terms of licensing agreement. But there are certain disadvantages of international licensing, and the first is the problem of secrecy. Trade secrets may be revealed to third parties in foreign markets. The licensor may suffer significant losses as a result of this. Then the risk of starting a similar business. The licensee might start marketing an identical product under a different brand name when they become skilled in the production of the licensed products, posing the competition. So, in a third market, the licensor and the licensee may be competing with the same kind of technology which is provided by the licensor to the licensee. Conflicts and disputes. Conflicts frequently arise between the licensee and the licensor over matters such as the maintenance of accounts, payment of royalties and the disregard of standards. These may lead to expensive legal disputes that affect both the parties. So, the problem is the orientation and the philosophy of the licensor and the licensee might not be matching, and then it results in conflicts. Other disadvantages include loss of quality control, damage to a licensor's trademark and reputation. Licensee may improve its technology and enter the M&A's home market. So, it will be competing with the multinational enterprise in its home market as well as in foreign countries. So, these are the disadvantages of international licensing. The next one is international franchising. Now, what is franchising? Here, when we talk in terms of international franchising, here the foreign franchisor grants specified intangible property rights to the local franchisee who must follow strict and detailed rules as to how it does business. So, it is quite similar to international licensing, but it is an overall transfer of all intangible property from the franchisor to the franchisee. So, it is broader than the international licensing. This is done for royalty payment and sometimes a percentage of franchisees revenues also. Now, intangible property rights are generally the trademark and brand name. So, you are going beyond technology and now you are allowing the franchisee to use the trademark as well as brand name. The advantage of international franchising are longer commitment. Now, it is a full-time longer commitment on the part of both the parties, the franchisor and the franchisee, and the commitment is longer even compared to international licensing. It also creates control over overseas operation for the franchisor. So, franchisor is having more control and he ensures that the franchisee is doing the business according to the terms of agreement or franchising agreement and exactly in the same manner as the franchisor does the business in its home country and in other markets. So, it maintains consistency of its products in different markets. So, the same product which the franchisor is marketing in his country will be marketed exactly in the same manner in other countries through the franchisees. So, the logo, the brand name, the trademark will be exactly same in the franchisor's country as well as in the franchisee's country. It is a low cost and low risk option for the franchisor. But it ensures global presence. So, you are entering into the whole world, different markets and maintaining the same level of standards everywhere, same brand name, same trademark, but actually you are not making the investments, it is done through the franchisee for a royalty fee. It is a fast and easy avenue for leveraging assets like trademark and brand name. The disadvantages of international franchising are franchisee may harm the franchisor's image by not upholding its standards. So, it may lead to disputes also. So, in case of franchising, all the more it is necessary that the standards be maintained by the franchisee in its home country, the same standards which are posed by the agreement and which are there in the franchisor's country. So, the same logo, brand name, the quality of products, the quality of services provided to the clients, it should be exactly same. In fact, the letterhead to the billboards, to the hoardings, everything will be in the same manner. Franchisees stay in the business after termination of the contract. So, when the contract gets over, then also the franchisee uses the franchisor's name and the same kind of logo and all to do the business in its own name. Franchisee, so the disadvantage is that the franchisee becomes skilled over time and he may start marketing a competing product and steal away the deals and clients. So, this is the same disadvantage which is there in licensing, and this may create severe competition for the franchisor in different markets. In case the franchisee divulges trade secrets in the foreign markets, the licensor or the franchisor may suffer heavy losses. Conflicts and litigation may cause loss to both the parties. Now, there is a difference between, there is a fine line of difference between licensing and franchising, but in many textbooks and in different sites, you will find that licensing and franchising are used interchangeably, but there are certain differences which we are going to discuss now. The first is that licensing involves the transfer of just a part of the business like manufacturing or distribution. Franchising involves the transfer of the total business function. Licensing gives less control to the licensor or the licensee, but in franchising, it gives greater control over the sale of the product in the target markets. It also gives the right to revoke the franchise if the franchisee fails to abide by rules. So, more control is there in the hands of franchisor in case of franchising, but lesser in case of licensing in the hands of licensor. Then the next is licensing is prevalent in manufacturing industries. Franchising is common in service industries where the brand name is more important. The last one in contractual agreements is turnkey projects. Now, what is a turnkey project? A project where client pay contractors to design and construct new facilities and train personnel. It is a way for a foreign company to export its processes and technology to other countries by building a plant in the country. So, generally the projects are of very high value for a long duration. Such type of projects are there, and the host country gets the benefit of the processes, technology in the home country of the foreign company. Industrial companies that specialize in complex technological production or production technologies use these mode as an entry strategy, also called build, operate, transfer. The investor receives periodic payment. So, in cases like construction of metro projects, railway projects, dams, building multi-storied buildings, or in all these, even roads, infrastructure building, this type of turnkey projects may be there where there is a collaboration between the foreign company and the domestic company. Long-term infrastructure projects, as I said, power generation, airports, dams, expressway, chemical plants, all these are in the form of a turnkey project. For example, the steel malls of USA is a turnkey project of Bechtel USA and Hyundai South Korea. Advantages of turnkey projects. You can enter such countries where FDI are limited through this channel. So, if FDI is not allowed in a country, you can enter into a collaboration in the form of a turnkey projects. Get the benefit of experience and knowledge of the local partner. So, both the experiences are there. The foreign party brings in the technology, personnel, know-how, everything, and the local partner is helpful in giving the knowledge about the local conditions, people, how they work, how the machinery, government machinery works. So, that benefit can be given by the local partner. There are certain disadvantages of turnkey projects. The risk of revealing companies' secrets to the rivals is there. risk of takeover of their plant by the host country is there. As we have discussed previously also, all kind of projects and all kind of buildings have the government of that country has the sovereign rights over them. So, in a minute or in a split of seconds, or decisions may be taken whereby the turnkey projects may also be nationalized by the host country. So, that kind of risk will be there. So, to summarize the lecture, what we have studied is, in this one mode of entry, the non-equity mode we have discussed, that is contractual agreements, also known as transfer related entry mode, and they are associated with transfer of ownership or utilization of a specified property, technology or asset for a royalty fee, and it includes like international leasing, licensing, franchising and turnkey projects. In international leasing, a foreign firm leaser leases out its new or used machines or equipment to the local company, that is the leasee, usually placed in a developing country. In international licensing, a firm licensor transfers its intangible property to its own unit or to another unit or firm, that is the licensee, for a specified period of time in exchange for a royalty fee. In international franchising, a foreign franchisor grants specified intangible property rights to the local franchisee, who must follow strict and detailed rules as to how it does business for royalty payment and percentage of the franchisee's revenues. A turnkey project is the one where client pay contractors to design and construct new facilities and train personnel, all undertaken to export its processes and technology to the other countries by building a plant in that country. So, this is the non-equity mode, and in that non-equity mode we have discussed the contractual agreement, and in that we have discussed international leasing, licensing, franchising and turnkey projects. That is all in this lecture. Thank you, students.